Hello, welcome everyone. This is another episode of the Author Spotlight. Yeah, Author Spotlight. You know who it is. It's your man Darren M. Palmer. You know the Southern drawl like Tim McGraw. For all my people in Nashville, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm screaming. But I have none other than my man Matt Patterson on here today. Before we have Matt come in and share a little bit about his story and things that he's doing to impact the world, I just want to let you know a little bit about Matt and my background with Matt. I was able to meet Matt at a wonderful conference in Houston, Texas. And the thing about it was that Matt stood out to me because of his heart. Even though he resides in Utah, he has a heart the size of Texas. He got Southern roots as well, with his dad being in the state. And so, but just meet somebody who, no matter their background, no matter the level that he was speaking at, for his keynotes and impacting associations and corporations across the globe and individuals, he still made time to take time out for me and other people and really pour into them. And he was selfless. So that stood out to me as something that I took from my time with Matt, and it allowed for me not only as a businessman to grow, but as a father to grow as well, by the things that he poured into me, and also about some of his books and the things that he offered to me. He's been a great friend, confidant. He's worked on Self-Publishing 30 Days for those of you who follow that podcast as well. So I had to bring him on for the Author Spotlight because of the great things that he's doing. Now I'm just going to read a little bit about him. Now we can't do the whole show because we'll be reading forever because it's a lot of wisdom, a lot of things that he's done. But Matt Patterson is a highly sought after speaker as well as an award-winning international best-selling author. His first release, My Empire, has gone viral and has amassed hundreds of thousands of Kindle downloads from all over the world. He's a leading authority on leadership, change, communication, and team building. I want to read a little bit more about him. In addition to the remarkable response from readers, My Emily has been a top-rated #1 Amazon International bestseller, receiving recognition as an award winner and finalist in the Reader's Favorite Book Reviews and Award Contest, the Next Generation Indie Book Awards, and the National Indie Excellence Book Awards. He is also a member of the National Academy of Best-Selling Authors. Now, I just shared a little bit of the bio, and I know some of you are saying, Darren, wait a minute, I mean, is it more? Believe me, there was more. I know y'all thought I was joking when I was talking about, we can't go so long with that, but I definitely want to give respect due to you, Matt, and I shared a little bit about your bio. But if you could you expound upon that and share with our audience anything that I might have left out?
I think more than anything, I really like to be recognized as, a good husband, awesome. A good father, and now I'm a grandpa. So I think those are the top three. The information about the books and things of that sort are humbling. It's been really satisfying to know that my story, which is actually, at least with my first book, my daughter's story, has been able to not only touch people, but to help them. And it was just ironic. Yesterday, somebody made a comment that they read My Emily, and said some very, very kind words. And another person made a comment underneath their comment saying, I've heard of this book. For me, besides the wonderful comments, for somebody to say, I've heard of this book.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of the hours behind my laptop, either sending tweets or now dipping my toes into the world of Instagram and Facebook, it means a lot. It means like I've done something good. And I think more than anything, when you get a note or a message or a review that said that it helped them, that it touched them, then makes it all the worthwhile, for sure.
Now, Matt, you brought up My Emily, and could you share with the audience about My Emily? What, for those who haven't heard of it or haven't had the opportunity to buy it yet, but they're going to buy it as soon as they hear this interview. They're going to
absolutely
get there and go get it. Could you just share a little bit about that, how they came about, and what they can expect to read in that particular piece?
Absolutely. My Emily, it's hard to believe, in November it'll be 6 years since I've released my Emily, and it's been a passion for me. My first daughter, Emily, was born she'll turn 30 in December. She would have been 30. She was born with Down syndrome, and at age 2, diagnosed with leukemia. And after a period of remission, she relapsed and passed away. And I think as a father, of any father, you don't want to bury your child, to be blunt. And my Emily is like you and me sitting here chatting right now, having a bottled water or a cup of coffee at a coffee shop, or having a Diet Coke at the Habit, where I wish I had a burger right now. I'm trying to drop a couple lbs, but I try to talk to it's in first person. It's like you and me having a chat, and it's a short read, take you about an hour. I meant it to be that way, so maybe someone could actually read it in one sitting. And it details from the day of her birth to her diagnosis to her passing, and even the lessons learned after her passing. I take a lot of shots at myself. There's a lot of self-deprecating humor in the book. So my philosophy was, I would love to make you laugh. There's a possibility you might shed a tear or two, but you also hopefully will walk away inspired by a little girl's story that a lot of people would say, boy, born with Down syndrome, and geez, cancer, pediatric cancer. And you say, wow, it's a shame, which it was. But a lot of people would look at Emily's life as one full of imperfections with the Down syndrome, and then cut way too short. And I try to relay in the story, especially towards the end of the book, that for someone who only lived 2.5 years, she left a great legacy just even during her time on Earth. But now, almost 28 years later, she continues to touch hearts, and I feel almost a responsibility as a father to help other families that are struggling. It's not easy to hear the word your child has cancer, or totally blindsided, your daughter is born with Down syndrome. And I look at it 30 years later as an absolute blessing. But I'd love to have Emily here with me today. Abso-doggone-lutely. Awesome. But I feel almost that it's a mission and a passion of mine. It is a passion of mine, but it's almost a mission that if I can help a couple, especially even fathers out there, want to let guys know out there who are watching this that, if hopefully we get through this without me crying, but you know what, guys, it's okay to cry. Yeah. It is okay to cry. And if I can implore anyone who's watching today, no matter how old your child is, if they are 1 or 2, give them a hug, look them square in the eye, and tell them that you love them. If they're 25 or 30 or 40, call them, or if they're close by, go by and tell them how much you love them. Look them in the eye, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. And I think the biggest thing for me is to try to help others go through, a rough patch. It's a rocky road when you get some of those things called upon you in your life.
And I thank you so much for just being so open and sharing it with us. And you brought up a good point about the book and my Emily. And some people, I know they've had their opinions, but how can this guy, after what he went through and what he has experienced, how can he have a sense of humor? And I know, and I know for one thing, okay,
I'm a very funny man.
He's a very funny man. But
funny.
Imagine some people would think that they would just shut up. They would just shut up, not say anything again, wouldn't have a joke, wouldn't smile. But on that note, this is a perfect segue to lead into this question right here that I have to ask you. We find so many reasons, and I mean we, the masses of people, why we can't get something done. It might be, well, I'm in school where I'm working a lot of hours. So could you share with the audience what you went through? How were you able to push that book out during that time? What was your mindset that allowed for you not to just stay locked in, or not just to shut yourself out from the world, but to be selfless and be an advocate and an ambassador for Emily and actually share her story? Because you could have went the other way. It could have been a gun turner, you said. It could have been alcoholism. It could have been a lot of other vices. But what allowed for you to be consumed enough to go ahead and share this story of my Emily that has helped people across the world?
I think first and foremost, we all grieve. We all grieve differently. And it took me 20 plus years before I could actually sit down and write My Emily. And actually, My Emily is an expanded version of a newspaper column I wrote. My background is in marketing and journalism. And initially, My Emily started out as a newspaper column. And after everyone read it, they said, boy, you should write a book. But this was like 20 years ago. And at that time, obviously, the world of self-publishing and technology, it wasn't at that point where we are today. But I will say, once I sat down and decided to do it, on my previous laptop, I had a little note taped right by the little touchpad. And it said, how important is it to you? So when I was sitting up at 12 in the morning scheduling tweets to promote My Emily, or to even during the writing process or the editing process, always saw down at my laptop, how important is it to you? And you have to ask yourself that. If somebody is contemplating writing a book, I don't have the time. Well, you need to make the time. And even if it's 30 minutes a day, for me, I needed to be quiet when I write. I don't like distraction. I don't like a lot of background noise. So I needed to find times when my house was quiet, or the same spot every day, and to make it a routine. But the most important thing that I still think about today is, how important is it to you? It is very important to me, especially we're in September. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Big month for me. It's a huge month for me. And I try my very best to be an advocate, a messenger for childhood cancer, at least the best I can within my means. And even next month, October, is National Down Syndrome Awareness Month, which is also a very big month. Those 2 months are huge for me. And I try to spread Emily's message as much as I can throughout the year, but I also try to make it available as much as possible during those 2 special months.
Awesome. And how bad do you want it? And here's the story of Matt. It belittles everything. The little excuse that I think I might have, I stumped my toe. Oh my goodness, somebody had a flat tire. You know what? The kids got practice again today, and I got to get up and drive and commute. When we look at the magnitude of what this man and his family had to take on with the passing of Emily, but I'm also torn, because it shows me as well, through adversity, what's really in you tends to shine out or come out of you. And I just think about what it has meant, what it's meant to the world. Did you hear what we talked about? Emily, those 2 years, is still giving life to people. Imagine that. She's giving life. Even not here in the physical form, her story is helping people not commit suicide. Her story is helping people to keep their peace of mind. Her story is resonating in those siblings who lost someone, or those marriages who are suffering, and they're able to rekindle and get their relationship back. It's not about Matt being perfect. It's not about Emily and the things that she went through, but look at how her pain was used as a product to inspire and uplift and encourage the masses. People who don't even speak her her tongue or her language, or don't even speak our language in English, are still benefiting from this, with people sharing that story across the globe, speaking it in their native tongue. So what about you out there? For those who are listening, this is not just about Matt. This is not just about Emily. This is not about Darren. What we're learning from the story of Emily and Matt is how to be resilient, how to not let circumstances dictate your destiny. The circumstances were what they were, or as we say in Texas, it is what it is. Forgive me that Southern vernacular, but it is what it is. But her life, her being victorious, her being a champion, her story outlived her tenure here on planet Earth, and she's still making an impact. And so with that being said, with the massive success of Emily's story being shared in the lives, could you share just any testimonials or any emails or anything where someone walked up to you and shared something about Emily's story and how it impacted their life? Could you share a few of those with us real quick, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Now you're gonna make me cry. So it's actually, as you were just speaking, I was thinking, when I have a bad day, and I have bad days, or am I doing enough, or is what I'm doing making a difference? I often go to the My Emily book page, and I read reviews, and there are those that literally bring me to tears, thinking that my little book, 100-page book, would touch someone that way, to prompt them to say certain things that just truly blew me away. I use words like triumphant, brilliant, and I remember when the book was first released, and especially on Kindle, I would know how many reviews I had, because the number wasn't big. So but I would go and check to see if anybody else who had downloaded it had left it. So if the number was different, I would go check and read the reviews, and I would always turn my head away from the computer screen once I clicked on the link and took a deep breath and then read. And more often than not, it's been quite positive, and for me, very heartwarming and inspirational that 100 pages can allow someone to sit down and pour out their heart as to how my little girl's story has touched them in some way. And just as, like I mentioned yesterday, a woman who purchased the book wrote just a very heartwarming message, and for someone to say, "Oh, I've heard of this book."
Wow.
It makes it all worth it. For all the many tweets and efforts that I've done, trying to reach out to other organizations to say, "Hey, is there anything I can do?" I mentioned I just started tiptoeing into the world of Instagram, and I've come across organizations that I actually search them out in the morning, so my heart can be full as I start my day. St. Baldrick's is one. I'm not here promoting them, but just want Little Wishes. We have Make-A-Wish, which is huge, and they're completely inspirational to me. There's a group called Little Wishes, giving kids who have cancer in hospital just something little. It's a little wish, like a Nerf gun or a pair of high tops or something like that while they're fighting cancer. And those are the people that inspire me. Rather than them saying something nice about me, those people, I make sure I go out of my way to let them know that they've filled my heart that day, or to see people who are in remission, that are battling cancer, that are children that are my daughter's age, or even my adult daughter's ages. I mean, to hear survivor stories, but also to feel the pain you see pictures of people whose child has passed. And it's just something that's very emotional, whether it's on a high and motivational level or a very somber level. I really love my job. I do. It's for someone to tell you that you do something good. That's a good day. That's a good day.
Awesome.
See, I pulled it back.
You did a wonderful job. You did a wonderful job. I mean, you held in there, and it's all right to know that it's okay to be emotional, and I had to rely on that when I had a man that was basically taught me more than anything, for the most part, on how to be a man. He was considered statistically or status wise to be my stepdad, but he showed me more about being a man than even my biological father has. And he passed away last year. It was last August, and what he showed me in those amount of years that I've been able to be with him is not only blessed me, but it's blessed my family and others. And knowing that it was okay by reading your story, by reading my Emily, knowing how to handle those type of emotions, when he was one of the type that during that generation, and I don't want to just, but I mean, a lot of people had issues as far as showing their feelings or letting things out, if it was love. And so, but by your story and me meeting you before all of that and all of that, and understanding the story of Emily, to help me to cope in my time, where it was like, wow, here I am faced with this. I'm the oldest, I'm the oldest sibling. I got these responsibilities now. I had just started the podcast. My business, like it was growing right at that, seemed like that triumphant time. Like, wow, if something finally clicked, all these brainiac ideas I had, something finally clicked. And right there at that time, when he was able to see a little bit of it and finally understand that, well, my son just don't have a job, but, to understand that his actual thing, because business was really a business.
My dad said it too. My dad says it too. When you going to get a job?
When you going to get a job, man? When you going to get a job, instead of running around and speaking. And so that story impacted me so much. And I want to turn the page, so to speak, like we were doing the book, and look at it from this perspective. I noticed that you have a new book that's out, that's being promoted, and you're sharing that. So share with us a little bit about the new book. And also, this to me is just like starting a new book all over. So how do you come with a new book after my Emily, and the awards that it has won and the accolades that it has, and how many lives it changed? So what was the focus going in on this book? So why this book at this time, and how do you move forward after the success of my Emily?
Oh, number one, this is going to be a completely different book than my Emily.
Okay.
I am writing it in the same voice. It hasn't been released yet. We're very, very close. We're just trying to put the word out about it.
Okay.
It's called We Got This, and it's about how great organizations can overcome challenges and come together and win as a team. I wouldn't say it's a business book, but it's geared towards organizations. But it's geared towards organizations on how to help people who are going through things such as when I went through what I went through with Emily, her birth, her diagnosis of Down syndrome, as well as her diagnosis of leukemia. How can we, as groups, teams, organizations, help people who are going through traumatic events that it's actually affecting their performance at work? But how can we come together and help them not only overcome some of these challenges and let them know that we're there for them, but also help them overcome these challenges and still be productive at work? And sometimes some of us need to step up and maybe carry some of the load for them while they're going through that, while their child's going through chemotherapy or through a dialysis or surgery, or the loss of a parent, loss of a relationship. There's a lot of things. I start the book as someone riding in an elevator. They just got to work and they're riding in an elevator.
Okay.
And try and take those deep breaths and try to put on that facade, that face. Hey, everything is great. But inside of me, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling. And in one of the posts I put out there, the struggle is real.
Yes, sir.
Yes. No matter how big we smile and yuck it up with everyone at the water cooler, the struggle is real and it exists. And rather than pushing somebody to the curb because maybe their performance isn't up to snuff because of what they're going through, and a lot of times organizations don't know what they're going through. So when are we as team members, even though we're noticing something ain't right, we'll say something's not right with Darren, are we going to be the ones that are going to step up, stand up, ask, and just care about them? Because you know what? There was one day I woke up and I wasn't a father with a child with cancer, or I wasn't a father of a special needs child. But you know what? Next day I was. And I think we all have our lives. We all have our flat tires and things that are going wrong, or cars in the shop, or I'm not feeling good, or boy, I've gained weight. I'm thinking about all this stuff that's going into my mind, and oftentimes the best cure for some of the stuff that's ailing us is by reaching out and serving others that are silently suffering, and to be servants and be of service to those people. So definitely a different book than my Emily. I'm already prepared to, I don't know. I just think some people may liken me with my Emily, and this is going to be another laugh, cry, be inspired book. I would hope that you'll laugh. I try to poke fun at myself as much as possible, but it's a completely different book, and I'm preparing myself for the backlash of it. But I do have two others that are coming after that one, after we've got this, that'll put me back into the my Emily realm. But I really felt from a standpoint of going out and trying to help others, my Emily is a great foundation for me to reach out for families with special needs children or children with cancer. But now, how can we go into the organizations or groups and really help them? Everybody's got something going on in their lives, and some things are traumatic. And like I said, rather than telling somebody what they're doing wrong at work, is instead of asking, why did you do this and why did you do that? How about asking, how are you? How you doing? You haven't been the same for the last couple of weeks. Is there anything I can do? Is there anything we can do? And I believe if we kind of stop for a moment, think before we speak and ask, some things can actually be turned around, or at least allow us to gather together and huddle up as a team and help someone in need. Because you know what? Tomorrow, maybe someone else, your number may come up.
That's it. You know what, man? And when you shared that, I think of a story of a local cable guy who understands that he has actually a ministry, and where he goes in, and he was talking about he was caught up in his daily activities. He was going in, hooking up some cables, seen a woman there and kind of talked to her a little bit. I found out the woman had moved from Memphis, something like that, to Texas, and around Knoxville area, and came to Texas, and she didn't really know anybody. Kind of found out she was having a few issues with her kids, and she was staying with some family. And before I knew it, the guy said he got a phone call like the next day, and said it was a woman he didn't know. It was like, wait a minute, they don't want no issues. Like, I'm married or whatever. Like, who's this calling on my job? Like, they said, it's not my wife. Well, who is it then? He didn't know who it was. And so his manager called him, and they talked to the woman. She said, I don't know what you shared with her, but what you didn't know is that she was contemplating committing suicide when you showed up. And by you taking the time to talk to her while you were hooking up the cable, I was at work, and this was the lady's friend. So I was at work, unbeknownst to me, but she had decided that she couldn't live without her kids. She couldn't live with the situation that she was in. And lo and behold, the cable guy showed up. And by you just taking that time out, just what you were just sharing here earlier, and just saying how you're doing, speaking to her, and pouring into her, not being preaching, nothing, like just being actually interested, seeing how her day was going, and your take on life on certain things, even though you didn't know it, it allowed for her to decline that offer that she had presented to herself of committing suicide. And so it just goes to what you're sharing, whether it's in the corporate environment, was just personal, if we're at Costco, Whole Foods, or if we're just moving around our daily life at a soccer game, just that little time of being servants to others and just taking a little bit of time of our busy schedule of texting and looking down and all that right there, just to say, how are you doing? I mean, would you agree with that, Matt?
Absolutely. I was just thinking, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask someone if they're doing okay or if everything's all right. You some of us may think, don't really want to get into it. Don't want to get nosy either. But, like I said, you don't know when your bell's going to ring. And I think a lot of us are taught in our churches and in our congregations, the spirit of service. And I think for all of us, we want to be of help, and sometimes we don't know how to. We don't know how to ask. The best way to do it is to try. And I think more than anything, we really need to take a step back and look at ourselves as individuals and as organizations, and ask, how can I better help so-and-so or someone, and just be more in tune and alert to those who may be, as I've said earlier, silently suffering. There's signs, and I think we all can recognize them. I think just more than anything, we really need to shed the fear and be able to ask people if it's okay to help, or is there anything you can do to help.
Awesome. And Matt, if you could share with us, I love this question, and I want to hear from you more than anybody, because you've experienced quite a bit in your publishing. How has writing books changed your life?
It's allowed, first thing that's coming to my mind is it allowed, at least with my Emily, it's allowed me to grieve. I think, you keep something like the loss of a child or the birth of a special needs child bottled up. I still have a tendency to keep things bottled up, but that was an opportunity for me to grieve. And between you and me and all the people that are watching this, I really truly believe that my Emily, use the word successful, I believe that its draw to readers was because it's a sensitive subject, and it was coming from a man. Not many men will. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I mean, there's just a low percentage. It seems like most of these types of books are written by the mother or the wife. And I just think that the only allure to it was that you had an opportunity to read a tearjerker, perhaps. You might want to categorize it a book about a sensitive topic that more often than not would not come from a man. And that's just my speculation. But when I've always tried to give the book to men, and I'm not afraid to hand the book out. Yeah. I almost use it as a business card and want to share the story with people. And I've had men look at it and look at the back cover and say, I ain't reading that. I'm not reading it because I know what the outcome is going to be, and I don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there. Yep.
And where for a mother or a wife, they want to they want to open it up and read it. But I've had numerous men decline to get to say, hey, that's great. Or they'll take it and say, I'll give it to my wife or my daughter, but I'm not reading it. So put up that tough guy facade. I've always thought that there would be this book that I would write and say, dude, it's okay to cry. And
great title, by the way.
I've had people tell me that. I just don't know how many pages I could write about men crying.
Yeah.
Or how not to cry, or why it's okay to cry. How healthy is it for a man to cry? But so we've got this is going to be completely different from that standpoint. There are instances that I share. I was in the military at the time when Emily was born and diagnosed, and the way they treated me and my family was remarkable. And I had a boss that said, the phone rings and it's an emergency, leave, tell me later. And actually, when Emily relapsed, I had that phone call. And I just dropped the phone and left and made phone calls later. And I'm trying to share some of the things that they did for me and my family. And I think organizations hopefully can take some notes. If you can gain one thing from it, I think with any book, if you can walk away with one little nugget of information, knowledge, or inspiration, then I think the writer's done a good thing.
And on that note, I want you to speak. I want you to share where our audience can find out more about you, but also besides being an author, could you share with them some of the services you offer in case, we have someone who has an association or a chamber or a school or a corporate event and they need someone to come in and really go more in detail than just this interview. Could you share about your services and how they can reach and get in contact with you if they need a great keynote speaker to be able to change their culture and help them out?
Absolutely. I think more than anything, obviously I'm going to say my specialty, but my area of expertise is parenting, especially fatherhood, especially geared towards organizations that have special needs children or pediatric cancers. Love speaking to support groups and also being on panels at certain functions, Q&A type of things. I'm also a keynote speaker speaking on anything regarding pediatric cancer, special needs children, leadership, communication within the workplace. And the main thing here for me, at least towards anybody who is listening and might be interested, whenever I go to speak to an organization, I fly there for free. They don't have to worry that wherever you are, I can come and be there and you not have to worry about it. The only thing we really need to agree upon is a date. And just look at our calendars. I'll put it out there. My wife is a flight attendant. I can fly for free. I can fly to anywhere in the doggone world on standby. But my wife is pretty good at making it work that I get on the flights. I think I've only missed a flight once, and I only missed it. I was the last person that didn't get on. So I can go to anywhere, and whatever the range of needs that they have, whether they want a keynote speaker, they're having a panel, or do they need breakout sessions for training, whether it be helping teams come together to help others, or just to come together and see how we can communicate better within the workplace. And I'm more than happy to be able to also, if somebody would bring me in, depending on the size of your group, as I sometimes say in the book, I say, free bubblegum cigars for everybody. You bring me in, free copies of My Emily for everyone as well.
Wow. Awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing that information. And the website is, could you share the website with them again?
The best way to contact me or to get a hold of some of my materials is Matt, Patterson, Patterson.com. And anybody who's listening today, I'll toss it out there. If you order a signed copy of My Emily, I'll also toss in a free audiobook CD of My Emily as well.
Wow. See, this is what you get behind the scenes on the Author Spotlight. Thank you for your generosity. I really appreciate that, Matt. And I want you to speak right now, Matt, to that individual who's hearing this and they're thinking to themselves, I don't know how I'm going to make it. I feel like giving up. I wasn't prepared for this. This wasn't in my long-term or short-term plan. Somebody out there who might want to write a book as well, but don't think they can push through the pain. Could you speak to that person right now and give them a word of encouragement that can help them move forward and know that somebody else is depending on their story. Somebody else is depending on their expertise to get them out of their hole. So could you share with that person right now who's feeling kind of defeated or the situation isn't ideal that they can overcome?
Absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth as far as, somebody needs your story. You don't know it. Somebody needs your story. I was once told that one person's problem is another person's prayer. And it was given to me, for example, someone complaining about their child. Say you got a teenager or 20-something that's just driving you up a wall. I can't wait for my kid to get out of my I can't wait for that kid to get out of my house. Just driving me up a wall. Tell that to a parent who has lost a child or who can't have a child. Or someone who is complaining about the repairs around their home. Man, this home is just a pile of garbage. It's just a money pit. Tell that to someone who doesn't have a home.
Wow.
And I truly believe that every one of us does have a story. We hear it all the time. Everybody's got a story. You know what? The best way to do it for me, I sat there with a blank computer screen with the cursor flicking at me. And I just started to talk to myself. I just started to I saw my face in the reflection of the screen, and I just started talking. And maybe that's why I write in first person. I'm just talking to myself. And you know what? If you just have to pour out your heart, just pour it out. Keep a journal. A beautiful way to, especially if you want to write a story about your pain, the best way to do it is just to grab a 50-cent composition book from Target and just start pouring out your heart in a handwritten form. And then if at some point you feel like you're ready to share it, start typing it up, or better yet, find somebody to type it up for you and put it out there. Never be afraid. Never, 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 never be afraid. And I just recently learned this is, you know what? Not everybody's going to like your book.
That's it.
Just the way it is. The sad thing is most of us, when we're experiencing some great reception to our story, where a lot of people are really patting you on the back and telling you how great it is. And you know what? You get one bad review, and what do? You spend 90% of your time worrying about what that one person said to you. You know what? They shouldn't have leverage on you. Move on. Don't worry about it. Just keep doing what you do. Work the craft. And if it means you have to start writing it down in a composition book, start it that way. Whatever is most comfortable for you. Don't do something. You're not going to do it if you're not comfortable. So if typing into a computer screen isn't working for you, then try writing it down in a journal. Some people with technology the way it is today, start pouring out your heart in your cell phone, and you can record your messaging that way and then type it up later. Those are just ways that you can overcome the fear that's associated sometimes with telling our story. But you know what? There's somebody out there. And you know what? If I would have touched just one heart with My Emily, mission accomplished. It helped me release my sorrow and And to this day, I'm still quite emotional about it. But at the end of the day, it helped one person. Great. You know what? And with my next book, if it helps one person, fantastic. I'm not going to worry about the naysayers. Don't ever worry. And it's taken me 6 years to not worry about it. Is don't worry what other people say. Those are the people who aren't taking the initiative and the courage to do what you're doing. So don't let anyone influence you. Do it for you. Do it for those that need your story. Other than that, don't worry about the negative. Always focus on positivity. Forget the negativity.
I love that. Focus on the positivity only and get rid of the negativity. I love that. I just want to tell you,
don't worry about those people.
Thank you.
They're not the people that are taking that time to be negative to you, your craft, your work. They're not worth your time. They don't have anything else in their life, so they're going to spend breath and time spewing venom, and you don't need that. You just move on. Next.
That's it.
Just move on.
That's it. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate you coming on today, taking time out of your schedule. I want those who's listening to this interview, no matter what it's a month from now, what it's a year from now, make sure that you get Matt Patterson to speak for the organization. You heard his area of expertise, where he can work at. But I'm thinking too, just personally, if it's people that I know that's over HR, if it's an HR convention, these soft skills, understanding your people, it's not B2B. Show me what business don't have people. You have to understand people. And if you don't understand what a human being is going through and not just look at them as a number that's clocking in and clocking out and just expecting to have production, if you want to see production and you see some of the top corporations or companies that are taking care of their people and actually understanding and hearing their people, they are the top performers. So a person like Matt coming in can change and give you a great ROI that you had never seen before, because guess what? Somebody who feel like they're cared for, they're going to play harder. And I'm just going to give you an understanding of this. And I'm not being political on this or nothing, but I'm just going to be flat out. And this is an example that just happened. At the time of us taping this, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys made a statement at the Phoenix game. Now, for people who are blind, they wouldn't be able to, the masses wouldn't be able to understand the move that Jerry did. I know Jerry from Arkansas. We don't hear a lot of great things coming out of Arkansas besides the natural water and the hunting. But at the same time, when you look at it, Jerry, you see why Jerry is a billionaire. You see why Jerry's mind is different than other people, because the average mind wouldn't be able to see that. It's one of the biggest moves that most corporations who are successful know. If you don't show the people that you care about them, they don't mean that you got to agree, but if you don't find some kind of middle ground where you can take care of both parties and find a way to have some cohesiveness to make sure that everybody stay together and that everybody is running parallel, running towards the same goal, then you will find a corporation that will sabotage itself and fall on its own sword. So by a person like Matt Patterson who can come in and have you tap into those areas and people feel like that they're not just a number. Well, you know what? Me and my wife was having some issues. Well, you know what? We just found out that our kid will need to have a kidney transplant. And I don't know if the insurance is going to take care of that. But somebody taking time to say, well, you know what? I know our insurance only offers this, but these are some other things that we'll work with you with. Let's see if we can seek wise counsel.
How can we help you?
How do we help you?
How can we help you? It's not a hard question. And even as you were bringing up, treating people as a number, one of my main mantras in this book is about, it's about people, not positions.
Ooh.
And
I like that.
I got that one, buddy.
Yeah.
But no, it is. I mean, it's, when you were saying it, I'm going, how can I, my mind's, I got the little squirrel on the wheel inside my noggin going, and as soon as you said that, I go, people, not positions. But you're very, as a fellow Cowboy fan,
Yeah.
I thought Jerry Jones did a wonderful job of how, and you know what? They thought it out. It's not like, hey,
That's
a bunch
it.
of us
There you go.
spitball. He thought it out thoroughly, and especially it came on Monday which was a very controversial Sunday for the NFL.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I'd work for Jerry Jones. I'd work for Jerry Jones.
I'm just seeing the effort of his staff and the effort of those guys on the field. And like I said, I'm not here to say I'm not here for that. I'm talking about more of a business decision, how the camaraderie on that team, this could be the catalyst for them going to the Super Bowl. See, a move like this, I've always watched it.
You better patch up a secondary too, buddy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. But I think about it, Matt, personally. The people I've worked hardest for when I was in sports in high school, the coaches I played the hardest for were people, and no matter how hard they were on me, but if I knew they cared. Mm-hmm. If I knew they cared, I don't care if I had to run extra laps. I don't care if I had to stay extra hours. But if I had a supervisor, I had a coach, I had somebody they were hard on me, or they didn't have to be hard, but they were hard on me. They got the best out of me simply because they cared about me.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
And I want to let you know, we care about you. This is why I brought Matt Patterson on, to be able to pour into you and to give us a different perspective. And I hope that if it's just one person that views this interview and you leave with another perception, because perception is reality. And if you have the reality of, you know what, I can make it. You know what, I can overcome. You know what, by hearing Matt's story, I know that it's not as bad as what I think it is. And that even if I'm in a bad situation or circumstances aren't ideal, that I can still take that pain and create something wonderful with it. I can take those ruins and make them glorious by what I choose to use them for. And Matt has shown us that with my Emily, with how he conducts his life, how he's still pouring into others, by him coming on, taking time out of his schedule today to pour into us. You see me writing notes the whole time. I know some of you are looking like, what's Darren doing? Hey, I'm here for me as well. Now, I want you to get yours, but if Matt shares something, a value bomb, or drop something on me, I'm writing it down. So I'm here selfishly for myself.
I'm glad I could drop something on you.
I'm here to learn, man. So I'm writing stuff down. But other than that, I just want to tell you once again, Matt, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really, really appreciate you, sir. You've done so much in my life. And I thank you, and I look forward to us connecting. We will work together on some more stuff as well. I get with you on that, on some things we got working that I want to get with you on. But thank you so much. And if you could share some, if you got any last words right now, could you say those before I close out the show?
Boy, words of wisdom from me.
Yeah.
I would say, first and foremost, if you're a parent, as soon as you get done listening to this, don't text, call, or walk into the next room and tell your child that you love them. And turn right back around and tell your significant other, if there's a significant other in your life, look them square in the eye, pull them close and look them square in the eye and tell them how much not only do you love them, but how much you appreciate them and all that they do for you. And it takes what, about 30 seconds?
That's it.
Best 30 seconds you'll invest all day. And again, for those of you who are stuck in writing a book or want to write a book, don't let fear stop you. Don't let naysayers stop you. You need to surround yourself with people who are going to encourage you. And if these people are your friends, then they'll support you. If they're just going to mock you, or even if it's a parent saying, why don't you get a real job? When are you going to get a job? Like our fathers were made from the broken, they broke the mold after those two. But in reality, hang with people that are positive and surround yourself with people, because they say your network is equal to your net worth. And I've fallen into ruts where I would say tolerated people that were negative. You're cordial to them, but they're still in your circle. Sometimes got to cut the cord, and just try to find a group of people who are going to encourage you. They're going to appreciate you and for what you offer to them. So those are the things I would say. Love your family. Tell your family how much you love them. And don't be afraid of the naysayers. And especially even after you finish your book, don't worry about the negativity. Just focus on the positive, because out there's somebody that's got your book open, reading it, and they're drawing inspiration from it. And I reached a point in my life where I'm just not going to let the negativity. I may have to absorb it for a moment or two, but I move on. Sometimes you're just going to have to absorb a punch, but then you just move on.
That's it. As the great philosopher and former world champion Mike Tyson would tell you, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. And this is another episode of Author Spotlight. Thank you, Matt Patterson, so much. And for those of you who are seeking and want to do a book, don't hesitate to reach out to us at self-published, the letter N, 30days.com. Me or a member of my team would love to be able to help you fulfill your dreams and also be able to impact somebody else to live their full potential by sharing your story with the world. But thank you so much, Matt, once again. Thank you, sir. I will get with you offline. Again, I will be contacting you very soon. But to those out there who have been blessed by this, please leave a comment. Reach out to Matt. Use his services. Remember, Matt, M-A-T-T dash, hyphen, whatever. I don't know if I'm.
It's a dash. I say dash.
I say dash. And my wife get on to me sometimes, so now got me confused on why I need to have it. Patterson.com. Make sure you go there. And to the next time, we'll catch you on the Author Spotlight Sundays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a great and wonderful day, Matt. Thank you so much, sir.
Bye, sir. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.